Hey everyone, my name is Ryan Flores and I am a singer-songwriter from Toronto, Ontario. And today I will be discussing a little bit about my new single, Better This Way. I describe my sound as like a fusion of pop, R&B, and indie singer-songwriter type of music. It takes really the catchiness of pop music, the vibe of R&B, and the honesty of indie and singer-songwriter music. Like it's all of that combined. I would kind of use that to define my sound. Better This Way specifically, like I would say it's like a road trippy type of song, and it's just, that term has been used to describe the song. It's like imagine yourself listening to the song while the volume is turned up to like 11 and you're driving down a country road and the sky is blue, the sun is out, the windows are rolled down, the sunroof is open, and the wind is just blowing through your hair. Like it's that type of vibe. So sonically, this song, and I think this record as a whole, is inspired by two things. The first is the pop and R&B music of the late 90s and early 2000s, so with artists like Destiny's Child and Usher and Chris Brown and Neo, and then bands like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and even S Club 7. Like those were the bands and the artists that I listened to while I was growing up. And then the other influence, and I think this group has a bigger influence on my sound and my music, is actually the Filipino-American YouTube artists in like the 2010s era. So people like AJ Raphael and Kat Badar and Jessie Barrera, Melissa Polinar, Carissa Ray, Gabe Bonduc, Albert Poses, like all of these people, and then the people that they've collaborated with, so Tori Kelly and Andrew Garcia, Kina Granis, Kathy Nguyen, Chrissy and Erica, Nessarica, like all of these people I grew up listening to on YouTube when YouTube was like relatively new. And I used to watch them like religiously, and I would be so inspired by what they were doing, that the fact that they were able to just sing on YouTube and like become popular over that. And watching them really inspired me to do the same thing. And I really just wanted to be like them and do what they were doing. I really credit those Filipino-American YouTube artists as a really big influence on my sound and my music, and even who I am as a person today. So Better This Way specifically reflects on that moment that the person or people that you thought you could confide in, like they don't really reciprocate that. Like you really go all out for them, like you show them how much you love them and how much you appreciate having them around, but they don't really reciprocate that back. And that's a super relatable topic, and that's something that I have been through before. And it sucks. It does suck. So then you're actually just left alone to kind of contemplate whether you're better off just pursuing your lives separately, like not being friends or not being in a relationship together. And in that process, you kind of like self-reflect to yourself and like, am I really better off without them? And the answer is yes. So this is interesting because when I initially wrote Better This Way, it was kind of like, okay, I don't want to use the term throwaway song, but it was kind of like, I really didn't intend on it being like a debut single. Like I really did not write it to be that way. It was just a song where I was writing to express my feelings, and it just came together, but I never really envisioned it even being on an album or a single or anything. Like I thought it would just be like a filler song or like a song that I would just write for practice and throw away and never release and never look back on it. So the song first started off with me and my guitar in my room probably, and then like voice memos on my phone, and eventually that transitioned into me doing a demo. And then after I recorded that demo, I was actually in the process of recording my second album, but then that whole thing stopped. That's like a whole other story. But I finished the demo and then it stopped. I never made any more progress after that until this year when I decided to do this album. And I pitched this song to one of the producers on my project, Denise, who ended up producing this track. And she, like her ideas and I guess her fresh perspective on the song really made me fall in love with it again. And the end result really wanted me to make this a single, and that's what I ended up doing. I really liked what Denise did with it and what we managed to put together and how we turned this really simple demo into something that sounded like a record.
One day, when you had nothing to say.
So obviously I wrote the song, but I couldn't have done this whole thing without the people that were behind the production. So the first person I want to shout out is Denise. Denise is the producer and one of the recording engineers on this album and for this track. And yeah, she really helped me bring this song together and really take the demo, hire the right musicians, and make it sound like a record. And I'm really so satisfied with how it turned out. And again, it was so good that I had to make it a single. And I do feel like this song represents me really well. So shout out to Denise for doing that. I also want to shout out Waleed. Waleed was like the studio owner and also recording engineer on this record. And yeah, just thank you for letting me come into your space, a space that you've taken years to build up, and you kept it really low key. And I hope it stays that way because bruh, exclusive. But yeah, thank you so much for being part of this record and kind of like sharing your advice and your experience with us while we were making it. And then we have our session musicians, Andrew and Ron. So Andrew played the drums and Ron played the bass. And I did not know either of these individuals before we started this record. They were actually introduced to me by Denise, the producer. And honestly, I don't regret having them on. I really don't regret having them on because I heard them, when I first heard the tracks that they played on the album, like during the recording process, I was like blown away, and it wasn't even like edited or anything. So bruh, like I'm definitely gonna have them back if I ever make another album, wink wink. But yeah, shout out to Andrew, the drummer. Thank you so much for like laying down these tracks and you recorded them at home. And it was like, we never actually met during the recording process. But thank you so much for that. And then Ron, bruh, this bassist, bruh, like I really can't. Like he's so good. Like, I don't know how is this possible? And then we have the mixing engineer, Jesse Barrera. And I've mentioned this guy's name multiple times in my vlogs and in my videos. Jesse Barrera is an artist and a producer, and I kind of grew up listening to him. His first solo record, Love in Technicolor, like changed my life. Like it actually changed my life. I heard it and it really inspired me to start writing my own music and then putting it out there and then making videos and all that kind of stuff. He really inspired me to do that. It was no question for me when I was doing my first album, Wayfarer, to have him part of the project. And it was so amazing to be able to work with him in his studio at the time for the 2 songs on my album Wayfarer. And then again, like it was obvious for me, like it was an obvious choice for me to, when I had to choose a mixing engineer, to have Jesse back. So Jesse actually mixed this song and mixed all the songs on my album. And bruh, it's just amazing to be able to work with somebody that I grew up listening to and that I am so inspired by. Like he's like a role model to me, I think. And I aspire to be someone like him and someone that can impact lives like he does. And the last person I want to shout out is Noah. And Noah works out of Lacquer Channel here in Toronto. And again, like he was somebody that I kind of like low-key followed ever since I had my single I'm Doing Pretty Good mastered at Lacquer Channel. Like I low-key followed this like facility, and I saw that he was one of the mastering engineers, and I would, like whenever he was at a music conference or like he would be doing like a talk or something about mastering, like I would be there to listen to him talk about it, and he's very knowledgeable. He has so much experience in mastering. So for me, again, the choice was obvious to go with Noah. So shout out to him as well for putting the final touches on this song and the record. So I kind of touched on this earlier. Why did I choose Better This Way as my debut single? I felt like it was, when I listened to all of the tracks, I felt like this song really represented me and my sound well. And it represented the album as a whole really well. And also it's kind of a good song to like dive back into, because I haven't released music in about 4 years. So when I heard this song, it was a really good place to start off again from where I left off with Wayfarer. Yeah, I think that's the reason why I chose it. And of course, like it's a really happy type of song. You feel good listening to it. It's like sort of like carefree, just makes you smile and bop your head. Yeah, those are the reasons why I chose Better This Way as a single. And like I said, Better This Way, initially I didn't write it to be a single or to even be on a record, but bruh, things happen, things change. Here we are.
I wonder when you had nothing.
So what is next? Well, obviously I will be releasing a full-length record called Introspective, and that will be releasing in 2020, and Better This Way will be on that record. And yeah, I'm really super excited to share this album with you guys and these songs and just my whole story behind every single one of them. And yeah, but before we release the full record, there will be 2 more singles releasing. So in January, I'll be releasing another single and then another single in March. So yeah, I'm super excited to release those, and I'll be probably making a similar video describing the background behind those tracks. These songs and this album specifically, I don't think you'll hear anything like this anywhere else, at least presently in the music industry. Just because of the influences, really. Like, it's really influenced by music of the 90s and 2000s and then the YouTube artists of 2010s. And I don't really hear that many artists like saying that that is their influence these days, or that their music is inspired by that time. I really did have the choice of kind of conforming to the current sound and what is trending now in music. But after going through that thought process, that is just genuinely not me, and that sound is not me. And even though the inspiration for these songs came from a time that was well past now, I do feel like it is genuinely me. It is genuinely me, and I'm super proud of how all of these songs turned out. And I think that's what's really important at the end of the day. If the artist is being honest with their sound and their music and what they're saying and what they're singing about, bruh, that's really important to me. I discussed this in my crowdfunding video, but there are 3 things that I really want to achieve with my songs and Introspective as a whole, and just with my music in general. The first thing is to encourage conversation and expressing your feelings. And that's really what I did with this record. I really put my heart on my sleeve and just like put all of it out there. And that isn't something that is easy to do for anyone. And the second thing is I really want to motivate people to really find their passion and chase it. I really haven't told this story on my vlog really, but before doing music, it was kind of hectic. Like, I was in school for something that I didn't really like and I wasn't really passionate about. When I found music, it was just something that I really fell in love with. And it hasn't been easy, obviously, but I really want to encourage everybody out there to find that passion and follow it and do what you actually want to do in your life, and don't let anyone else tell you what you should be doing. And the third thing is probably the most important thing for me, and it's to represent cultural minorities in the music industry. That is so important to me. Being a Filipino, I don't think we're well represented in the main current music industry. Yeah, that's just a fact. I don't think cultural minorities in general are represented that well. And this is one of my goals for this record and for my music, is to be one of those people to represent that community. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. That is just a little bit of background on Better This Way and my album and just my music in general. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a like, click that thumbs up button for me, as well as subscribe to my channel, youtube.com/rfloresvlogs for my vlogs, and youtube.com/ryanflores for my music covers and singing videos. All right, thank you so much for the support. Again, you can check out Better This Way on all music streaming platforms now. Let me know what you think. Save it to your libraries, share it with your friends, your family, do all of that. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you later.
I wonder